This is Android Basics, in which we bring you up to date on the things that you should know to use your Android phone.
And now we move on to Android Basics. Warren is going to talk about Android 15 Developer Preview 2.
As we focus on the Android 15 Developer Preview 2, I thought that it would be nice to talk about some of the prerequisites you need in order to get your device enrolled into the Android 15 Developer Preview. By the way, I think that next month, though, it will be opened up as a beta so that if you didn't want to use a Developer Preview, you could jump on the beta if that's what you want. So some of the prerequisites that we're talking about here is that first, you want to go into the system settings and then go down to where it talks about phone. I am in my system settings now, and I'll move to that area to show you what I'm talking about. So you go to about phone.
About phone, Pixel 7 Pro, 18 of 19.
Then you tap here.
About phone. Navigate up, button.
Once you tap on the About phone, what you need to do though is scroll all the way down to the last item at the very bottom.
17 to 26.
And that would be the build number. Here, you're going to tap on that build number 7 times to enable developer mode.
Build number, AP31.2402.
I tap.
You are now 4 steps away from being a developer. Setting.
So as I kept tapping, it says I'm now 4 steps away from becoming a developer. You have to keep doing that 7 times, and once you are a developer, it's going to ask for your PIN. In other words, once you tap up to 7 times, then on the 7th tab, it's going to ask for your PIN and all of that. And then you've enabled that developer mode. Then the next thing you want to do is to back out of this area and go back and tap on System from within the system settings. And in there, toward the bottom, you're going to find the one that says Developer mode. Tap on that, and then we need to enable a couple things here. The first thing we want to enable is the first one that says Enable OEM Unlocking. You want to check that, and it's going to ask you to confirm that. It may ask for your PIN, ask for your fingerprint, and all of that. And the second one is to enable the debugging mode. That's the ADB debugging. Those are the 2 things you need to enable. Once you enable those 2, then you are good to go. Now, if you want to download and install the factory images, you could download that and sideload those things manually. But if you're a lazy man like me, you probably want to take the lazy man's way out. Then the best thing to do is simply hook up your device to your phone, navigate to the Android developer page, which we have the URL in our show notes, and in there you follow the instructions on how to go about flashing it to your device. I do want to mention here though that you may get a message saying that you need to download the drivers. If you haven't done so, then you need to download those USB drivers. If on the other hand you have already done so before, you've been plugging in your phone to your phone and been able to access it and all of that, then you are good to go. And when you go to select or choose to flash it, it may tell you that it's not seeing your device. I encountered that when I was doing it on Thursday when this developer 2 dropped. And in that case, you need to tap on Add Manually. There you will see the device and see the build for your device and then get started. Now, everything is going to be automatic. You just click and just follow the prompts and all of that. Now, I do also want to mention that when it restarts at some point, it's going to be saying that you need to enable unlocking. Even though we've enabled unlocking earlier on, it still wants you to do that. And therefore, the device is placed now in the recovery mode. You want to hit the up volume just once. At that point, hit the power and just wait. And then it comes back and you'll hear the reconnection sound indicating that it's now been connected. And then it'll proceed from there. Let it download the files, sometimes like 2 point something gigs, all depends on what it is. And then when you're done, then it's going to ask you to relock the bootloader. In other words, it's going to put you in the recovery mode again, and you up that volume key once, hit the power key, and it locks your device. And at this point, you can unplug it, and your phone will come up and takes you to the setup screen. Now, let's talk about some of the things that have changed that I would like to talk about, especially those that are of importance to us. There's not much in the way of accessibility that's new. It's just the same old. The TalkBack version or Android Accessibility Suite that comes with it is 14.1. Now let's talk about some of the obvious things that are worth mentioning here, and these are the following. The first one I want to talk about is the ability to archive an app in the event that you are not using an app and you want to archive it so it's not taking space on your phone. You could go ahead and do that. This is not the same thing as pausing an app. This is basically archiving an app. I am on my home screen now, and I'll just navigate to one of the apps, and I'll show you how you go about archiving that app and how you go about restoring that app back to functionality.
Home. Home screen 2 of 5.
So here I am on home screen 2 of 5. I'm going to put my finger down at random, find an app, and we're going to choose to archive that app.
The Voice for Android.
Here's an app here that says The Voice for Android, and I could just long press it and tap on App Info, for example.
Shortcuts. App Info.
We hear shortcuts, and the first thing we heard is App Info. Let's go ahead and tap here.
App Info. Navigate up button.
I am now in the App Info of The Voice for Android. And so here we're going to see a couple, or actually 3 items. It used to be that near the top you find the uninstall and force stop and things like that. We have a new item that's been added here, and that's the first one on the left, and that one simply says archive. Here's what I'm talking about.
Archive button.
You have archive button, and to the right of that,
Uninstall button.
there's the uninstall, and to the right of that,
Force stop button.
we've got the force stop. Now, I'm going to archive it. That is, tap on the one that says archive.
Archive button.
I'll tap,
Archive The Voice for Android settings.
and it's been archived. Now, if I put my finger back down, we're going to find where it says restore.
Restore button.
That archive has turned into restore. Now, if I close out of here and go back to my home screen 2, where we found that app icon, for example, let's go ahead and close out of here.
Home. The Voice for Android downloading 0% complete.
And we hear the Voice for Android downloading 0%. Now, at this point, though, if you want to re-enable it, you can go back into the app's info and tap on Restore, like we saw earlier. Or I think if you tap here, for example, on it as well, it will start to download it and make it normal again. So that's the archiving feature that has been introduced in Android 15 DP2. The next item I'd like to talk about has to do with audio sharing, and that's found in the system settings and under connected devices, for example. Let's once again navigate our way to the system settings, and I'll pull down notification, and then pull it down again. And this time I'm going to tap on Open Settings.
Open Settings. Settings. Profile.
Now we are in the system settings, and what I'm looking for here is a second item that says Connected Devices.
Connected Devices, Bluetooth, pairing, 2 of 19.
We have Connected Devices. We tap here.
Connected Devices. Navigate up, button, out of list. Showing items 2
And
to 10.
in
of 10.
here, we have a new brand kit in here called Audio Sharing. This is something similar to what Samsung has gone on. I think that's called Auracast in Samsung. Here, though, is called Audio Sharing. Here's what I'm talking about.
Audio Sharing, heading, 2 of 10.
We have the audio sharing heading, and below that is where you can tap on it and interact on how you go about audio sharing. Let's go ahead and move our finger down and tap on audio sharing.
Audio Sharing, 3 of 10.
We tap.
Audio Sharing, navigate up, button, out of list.
We are now on the page of the audio sharing, and here's some of the information and some of the items that we have on this page. Putting my finger down, here's what we got.
Audio Sharing.
Move down.
Share audio, switch, off.
You have the switch to share audio and the switch off. If you move your finger down,
Let others listen to your media along with you using their own compatible headphones, 1 of 3, in list, 3 items.
so in other words, if you have a headset that has the capability or the feature of audio sharing, You could share music to such people, and they don't need to have to necessarily pair it to your phone, but you should be able to share it with them. Next item.
Play a test sound. Everyone listening should hear it. 2 of 3.
And here we have the play a test sound, and because I don't have any headsets connected to it, I'm not going to test this to see what it sounds like. And the next item below that will be
Stream settings. Heading. 3 of 3.
we have a heading that says Stream Settings, and below that we're supposed to see some of the settings that are associated with that, but since this is not quite live yet, that settings is not there. That's the feature that we have here as a second feature. The next thing I want to talk about has to do with hooking up your device to your computer. In other words, when you want to transfer files from the computer to your phone or from your phone to your computer, we are all familiar with how that method is, that is hooking up your computer to the device, and then simply pull down the notification, tap on an item that says Android system charging this device, and under the heading use Android or use connection for, and you're going to choose that transfer file. Well, something very important has changed. In other words, when you hook it up to your computer though, and you tap on file transfer or whatever item you tap on, it's going to require that you authenticate that either with your fingerprint or with the PIN that you have for your phone. Here's what I'm talking about. I'm going to hook up my computer, or rather my phone, to my computer, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about, show you what I'm talking about.
Charging started. Battery level 85%.
We heard it say charging started 85%. Now I'll pull down my notification,
Notification shade.
and I'm going to find that item that says Android system charging this device.
Charging this device via USB. Collapsed.
We hear charging this device via USB. I tap,
USB preferences. Collapsed. Navigate up.
and we're
button.
now under the USB preferences. Here's where you can choose what you want to do. For example, if I want to transfer files and all of that from the computer to the phone or from the phone to the computer, under the heading that says use USB for,
Use USB for. Heading. 5 of 13.
we hear use USB for, and below that we got,
Radio button. Not selected. File transfer. Android Auto. 6 of 13.
so if I want to transfer my files, I tap here.
Touch the fingerprint sensor. Verify it's you. Tap to cancel authentication. Button.
And now we have a brand new key on the block, and that says authenticate, either use your fingerprint or PIN to unlock the device. And that's how that system works. Once you authenticate, then you can now interact with it.
The voice for Android.
I think this is very helpful because if someone has access to your phone and plugs it in, they could go ahead and copy stuff from your phone and things like that. And someone like Ed, the one I refer to as the horse thief, might just copy some of my glitzy pictures in there, So I think that this is a very nice implementation. I can't believe we've been around for this long without this feature. I really like that feature. The next thing I want to talk about has to do with the Bluetooth utility, how it is that in the past, when you want to connect something to it, for example, you have to open that Bluetooth utility, or if you want to remove something from that, it has changed to where all you need to do is tap on it and it's just going to show a drop down of things that are connected, and if you want to remove it, just remove it. I don't have anything connected to mine yet, so I cannot demonstrate that, but that's a nice handy feature that we now have. And now, before I hand it over to the podcast crew, there's one last thing I want to talk about, and that has to do with screen recording. For example, if I want to record, say, my screen, for example, and I go to record a screen, or even I go to cast my screen, for example, it's going to ask which app I want to use in casting. In other words, which app I would like to record. So in other words, if I'm recording an app, say
Notepad,
for example, what that means is that it's going to record exclusively whatever I'm doing on that notepad. And if I get a notification at the top of my screen while I'm doing that, that notification is not going to show up in my recording. In other words, that makes it for privacy. So if I get like a nice message from someone, or maybe I got a message from my banking app or whatever, it's not going to show up in that recording that I'm doing. So that's a very good feature that Google has also brought us. And if you have the March feature of the Google feature drop, and if you have Android 14 or whatever version of Android that has that capability of accessing that March feature, that feature is also there in that Android 14. And now I'll hand you over to the podcast crew and talk about things that we like, things we don't like. Here's the podcast crew.
Thanks for that, Warren. So, have you been running this on your Pixel 8 Pro? I'm going to guess you haven't, but let's see what your answer is.
Well, so I have it actually on my Android, my Pixel 7 Pro, because I wasn't sure if I wanted it on my Pixel 8 Pro. But now that I saw that it's running smoothly, though, I'm probably going to put it on my Pixel 8 Pro, because I want to see what some of the other features, especially when it comes to either messaging. We've had lots of messaging updates coming through the Play Store and all of that. And part of the experience of the DP2 is the satellite messaging. Although some of these features are not actually alive and all of that, but I want to see that, we'll go down to one of the dead spots here in Eastern Washington and see if I could be able to send some messages or something like that. But I haven't put it on my Pixel 8 Pro yet. It's on my Pixel 7 Pro, and I like what I'm seeing. And talking about that, John, another thing, though, that I forgot to mention in here when I was demonstrating the new feature whereupon if you hook up your device to your computer, it's going to require authentication, especially if you say, hey, I want to switch from charging to maybe file transfer or whatever other choice you make. That can be circumvented if you turn on the developer mode. And so that's, if one has it going, you better not turn on that developer mode, because if you have that developer mode turned on, then when you plug it in, it'll just behave the way that it used to. So I'm sure this is something that Google is going to be fixing in the upcoming updates.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm glad they added it, but it doesn't seem to be a security flaw necessarily. I mean, the person still has to be in your phone unlocked and have developer mode turned on to plug in, then connect it to a device. So I wouldn't be surprised if they left it like that, because, developers are connecting it to their computers a lot and they might not want to have to authenticate. But I do definitely understand why they're adding it. And like you mentioned in the recording, it's about time, because if you give somebody your phone for some reason to let them use it or something, they shouldn't just be able to plug it into something and start copying files, So it's good that they've added it.
Exactly. I can't believe that we've been all these years and it never crossed someone's mind, say, hey, this is not right, because someone can grab my phone and voila, they can go ahead and just, grab all the files that they want, grab my pictures. The horse thieves like Ed maybe grabbing my pictures or whatever. So I'm glad to see that, feature coming through, because it's important that, it's all about security. And that's one of the focuses that Google really going after in this build of Android 15. So I'm looking forward to, these things maturing, and then we become used to these things, because I know some people are going to say, hey, it's something inconvenient, but I don't see it as too much of an inconvenience, because all it requires is your fingerprint or your PIN, whatever that you've chosen. So I like the feature.
Yeah, and speaking of security, you also mentioned screen recording. I read that They're also implementing the option for developers to block their apps from even being recorded if they want to choose to, like if it's a banking app or something, and they just don't want the phone to be able to record a screen recording of that app. That's going to be something that developers can opt into now. And I hope it still works for audio recording. Like, I hope you could still record, for demonstration purposes and get the audio that way if you want to get the audio. It's just the picture won't show up. So I'm hoping it'll just show like a blank screen in those apps that don't let you record in the recording. Obviously, while you're recording, you'll still see the app or it'll still be displayed. But yeah, I'm curious to see how that's going to be implemented, or when we try to record an app, what's going to happen.
Yeah, but John, internal audio recording is optional. It was like that from the start. So if you don't want your app to be recorded, the audio of the app, the app developer can stop this. So I think that already the apps that they don't want their audio to be recorded, they are already able to block this.
Yeah, but now they're able to block screen recordings also. So I wonder if an app chooses to block screen recordings, if you'll still be able to record, like if it will stop your recording, or if it will just not show up in the recording, is what I'm curious about.
So you mean that if also audio recording will be included by default in this or not, right?
Yeah, kind of. Because like when we're doing a demonstration, and especially in your case, when you're recording, because you use CSR and you can set it to use media, and then you can record that way. Like if you go into an app that doesn't allow screen recording while you're screen recording, what's going to happen? Is it going to stop your screen recording, or is it going to just record a blank screen and still let you get the audio? That's what I'm curious about. Because right now how it works, like, so if you're on the lock screen and you're doing a screen recording, the lock screen, it doesn't show the lock screen, I guess, because you're putting it in a pin or something like that. But it will still let you screen record, and it'll just show a black screen during that part of the recording. So I'm hoping that's how this is implemented.
Yeah, but if you just unlock this, if you just lock the screen, the screen recording will stop. Can you turn it on from the lock screen?
Certain apps, like if you're using a third-party screen recording app, it'll keep you can set it to keep recording when you turn the screen off.
Oh, okay, I was talking about the default Samsung recorder, which directly stop the recording whenever you turn off the screen.
So when I decided to record those preambles, or my tip of the week, and that's when I first noticed that. And that's not even on Android 15 DP2, but like I indicated, this is something that came with the March feature of the Pixel drop. And so when I went to record my demonstration of Google Docs, I realized that it was asking me to pick an app. And of course, I'm doing this via the Reflector 4 and choosing the screencasting feature from my phone. And it asked me to choose which app to use. So I went and chose Google Docs. Now, when I went to record the preamble for the Android 15 DP2, however, there was no such option. So I'm like, oh, so what do I do? So I chose Gmail, and then after I chose Gmail, then I just closed out of Gmail, and then it shows my screen, and I was able to do what I wanted to do. So it's a very interesting thing, but I think the whole idea that I like is that, if you're recording an app, a given app, for example, and then some notification comes in that you don't want someone to see, it's not going to show up in there. So I like the implementation. It's a good feature.
Anything new in TalkBack?
There was nothing new. I know that mine came with
and Android. TalkBack 14.1 out of the experience. So I don't think there was anything new. Maybe my guess is that we'll see something new if one joins the beta. There may be a new TalkBack that comes with it. Because you remember last year it was like that. We had the same TalkBack until, was it either the third beta or was it the second beta that we saw a new TalkBack? So I wasn't expecting that there was going to be anything new with accessibility, especially when it comes to TalkBack, but I'm anticipating that we'll see something new in the beta. Maybe beta 1 or beta 2, or maybe even beta 3. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, they are preparing for something groundbreaking. For this reason, they are taking their time.
Just like they did last year. It's ground shaking, make my coffee in the morning. I love that feature.
This time, it will just do you a recipe. Just you say, what do you want to do? And it will do it.
Pizza, pizza, pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite food. If you're gonna make me something, make me that pizza, because I don't think I can do it on my own. I mean, my wife knows how to do it, but not me. So let my phone do it.
I will join TalkBack back then, and I will be leaving CSR.
I think you would. And I'll be giving you a welcome back home party when you do.